Welcome back to Stationeers, and the floor is laid. I've been putting this down with steel blocks and with little sheets. You see I've got a few left in the corner, and I've been digging out the hillside. In case you were wondering, this is our old building. Yep, so all of this has been cleared with that upgraded mining drill, which is much better, and we're ready to build an atmospherics building. I'm going to build exactly the same as this one, so this outer wall here is going to be a solid wall going up, and so is this line. So if I want to hide any circuits, any programs, anything else, we actually want to put them inside probably this block, and then we'll have a space just like we have in that building. We'll have a space to get through eventually, probably. So I want to think about that a little while. So let's just go into here and we'll take a look. Yep, so if we have our space eventually, maybe going out where this output is, and we'll have our output dumping somewhere else, we can just send it, you know, outside or somewhere else like that. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, so we want it to be 4 blocks from the end is where we're going to put our door between the two buildings. So let's pop over here, and I have cladding on the inside, so I can technically just remove this block if I want to, but I don't need to actually do it for now. I just need to remember I need to put a door here, and that will work perfectly well in the future. Okay, so what are we going to do with this building? We need to get a few things sorted. We need, well, first of all, some way to get a pure atmosphere for our breathing. You'll see in my backpack, we upgraded the backpacks last episode. However, I did get a comment from someone saying you can put the light in the uniform, which is where I put it now, and that basically means you can upgrade to the hard suit jetpack, gives you more storage space, and that seems to work fine. It does still have a few weird shadows. You can see them right now if I go forwards, but it's still better, much better than putting in my backpack. If I just show you the difference, put that here, and you'll see so sort of immediately the issue back again. So that's mostly gone. So yeah, I quite like that, and thanks very much for the suggestion. And let's get started. So for atmospherics, we're going to need to deal with storage of gases. So we're going to need tanks of some kind, and there are 4 sizes of tanks. One is the canister, which is teeny, and the next size up is our portable tank, which is this size. Third size up is what we're about to print off. Let me just actually, well, in fact, let's print 3. This is kit tank, and you see the amount of steel. This takes 20 steel per tank, so make sure it only prints 3. So that's gonna only print off 3 now, and we'll just put iron back into this side. Let's get that out, and it's flat packed. However, this leads you to the last 2 sizes of tank. So you'll see there is a small tank here, and the small tank is actually still quite large. It's certainly large enough for us to deal with any sort of issues. Then there is the large tank, but the large tank needs it needs even more kit tanks. Can we actually get another kit tank? I'm going to need a few small tanks anyway, so let's just print off another one. Back one, print one off. Yep, I used up all my steel just printing off tanks. I thought we'd need them anyway, so there is the large tank. That will consume a lot of space, but let's build it just so you can see. It takes up 5 kits, so that's 100 steel for one of these things, but it's huge, and we're not going to need that just yet. So what does it take for me to deconstruct this? There we go. Oh no. Oh, wow. I thought I was only going to get 1 back. Yeah, no, we don't want that. So we're going to be using our tanks to basically store various gases. That's fine. Let's drop them over here. And then we're also going to need a few other things. We're going to need an atmospherics kit. Now, this may well need steel as well, which may mean to make more steel. But that shouldn't be too much trouble if we need to do that now. Atmospherics. Is atmospherics from Hue? Atmos. Ferrix it is. Do you need steel? No, you don't. Iron, gold, and copper. Is that all in there? Gold and copper. No, okay, so let's just go and grab some. Do I have any iron anywhere? Iron? Oh, you better have already used that for this latest batch of steel. What do we have in here? Lead, gold. Is that iron? Or is that lead? That's more lead. Yeah. Clearly going to need to go and do more iron mining, but let's just grab. Come on. There we go. And let's just dump that in here. So how much of this do we need? We're going to need maybe 6 or 7 of these atmospherics. So that's perfectly fine. We're going to need a lot of copper mainly. The iron is relatively straightforward to actually get. I've got some more lead there. I don't actually need lead whatsoever. I'm surprised I don't have any more iron. Anyway, I'm going to go mine some more. We'll print off a few of these. So yeah, 6 or 7, but to start off with, at least for this episode, you're going to want just a few, because we're going to prioritize the gases that we want, and that's what this kit does. It basically separates out gases with filters. So let me get to mining. We'll come back in a minute. So just to get us started, I've printed off one filter, one kit atmospheric, rather than printing off huge amounts. So what we're going to do, I think, because we're going to have a doorway sort of halfway along here, I can't really build the filtration system against this wall. I just got a door against it. So we'll just have this for storage of some kind, and we won't worry about it. However, we will be able to put it against this wall. So this is our outside wall. So if we step inside one, this is where our furnaces are in that building. And then we can think about putting stuff here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 internal spaces as far as tanks are concerned. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to need, let's just see how many gases we need. Let's go and grab this. So let's take a look at this. So our atmosphere and the world consists of 4 gases. So we've got N2, O2, X, which is a pollutant, and CO2. We're also going to need H2 and nitrous oxide as well. Is there any other gases I'm missing? Maybe not. But if there is, we can put them elsewhere. We can stack another, make this building taller if we need to. However, let's just start with 6 bays, and if I need more, I'm sure someone in the comments will say I need more. Regardless, what we need to do for this, first of all, is choose the option. There's 3 different options. An electrolyzer, which we don't need to worry about, at least not for now. An air conditioner, which we don't need to worry about. And filtration. Now, filtration, you'll see it has a few different ports. See, there's 1 import and 2 out ports. So we want import to be wherever our input is, and then obviously output otherwise. And because we're setting the output to be basically going up and into the wall and probably back out again, I'm going to actually put this around about here. Okay, so I can see everything if I need to get to it, but it is not consuming much space at all. And that looks good to me. So if we have just an input here, that is, in fact, we have to have a look here, input, and then our filtered, whatever we're filtering, and then our waste, or unfiltered. What I think we can just do, and if I remember rightly, is if we have one piece like this, let me just grab my wrench. I wanted probably a T-junction, but we can do it like this. And then if I put another T-junction in place, like this, we can hook up the output, the unfiltered output, and hook it straight back to the input. What's going to basically happen is this line is going to be mixed gases. Whatever we're filtering will come out of here into whatever tank we want. Whatever we're not filtering, i.e. everything else, is going to jump back out of here and again stay in this unfiltered stuff. So we're going to be building a parallel setup, at least to get started. We'll see if I remember these ports right. If not, well, we'll soon find out. Because the opposite will occur. This will start mixing only the stuff we're actually filtering out. So to get this started, what we can do is probably use either that output over here. Let's just grab my tablet again. What is in you at the moment? So we remember they got this shut off, and before we were just wasting this. So we have this already inside here, and we have another tank through there that is got our arc furnace outgassing in it. So instead of we want to waste this, eventually we want to cool it and then bring it back in. You'll see it's 100 degrees right now. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's going to cause any kind of problems with these kind of units, these atmospheric units. So for now, we can probably just input that, but we can probably also get the other stuff from in here. Where are you? So you are in block 1 to 3rd block along. We should be able to get into the inside of. Now, remember, it's not... yeah, let me just shut this down. It's not airtight, that cladding. So if I undo the back wall, we'll start to get stuff coming out. So before I do this, I'm just going to take out the inside here, and we're going to turn this off. Okay, so we're not capturing anymore, and that's perfectly fine. It's just going to fill this vacuum space, and then we're just going to go through the back wall like that. And then that should be okay to actually go through completely with a wrench. Why it is, by the way, we need to weld, but I can use a wrench to undo welds. Never really understood that, but yeah. Anyway, don't question the game. And back here, let's just bring up the grating so you can see everything. So we've got this input from our arc furnace setup, and it's gone into this portable tank right now. What we're going to be doing is sending this outside. So if I just grab my wrench for a second, and I can send it this way. Hopefully it will go underneath there. It looks like it will, maybe. Yep. Glad I designed that above the floor, otherwise that would have been a little bit embarrassing, but that's fine. And now I just want to grab a couple of stacks, maybe. A couple of stacks of pipe. Yep. And we'll just route that over to the atmospheric unit. And then, of course, we need cable as well, but I'll cut all that off camera and join me back in a second. Okay, so I have a power cable coming all the way down the building now, and this is not connected to a separate network. I will eventually route a cable through here, so there's a separate transformer for that building to this one. Right now, this is all running off this one transformer. You could put a separate one in series, but yeah, I'd rather have it being in parallel entirely, in which case we'll run a new line down here, and then around about here or on the wall or something, we'll have a transformer. However, it's all running off the same supply at the moment. It doesn't matter for the moment. It will matter a lot later when we start to use up the capacity of this such a thin cable like this. Anyway, we've got a power, and we've got most of a connection for this, for our atmospherics. So if we have a look here, you'll see this side has got 5.7 MPa. Yeah, it's really... You know what I'd like is if I have a tablet in my hand and I'm pointing at something, I don't want this tooltip. I just don't want it. It interferes with the display. Please, if you're a developer and watching this, please think about those two crossing over each other. Anyway, we can see we've got 3.8 kilomoles of CO2. So we can set this up to filter out CO2 to begin with. That's not a problem. And we can do that by putting a CO2 filter, which I just printed off, into one of these two sockets, and then we can hook everything up. Now, when you're planning this out, one thing, by the way, I didn't have 6 spaces, I had 8. I forgot that the end block is not solid. This is just got a wall here. So if we need this, we have the space for 2 more, 1 on each end, so 8 total. So we have more than enough. That'll be perfectly fine as far as that's concerned for building out an atmospherics center. Now, one thing to bear in mind when you're actually building this over here is that you need space to get cables into each of these two, and if you build them as close as you possibly can to each other, you encounter this problem whereby you can't get that cable in because you've got other pipe work. So I'd recommend you space them out. Give yourself a certain amount of room, and in fact, let's just print off another atmospheric units just so you can see the amount of room that we actually get available to us. Nice that we get batteries full even by noon, so we still have more capacity there as far as that's concerned. So at MOS, at MOS, I'm going to need copper, aren't I? And I was just printing off some more cable coil. Yep, that's just going to separate things. I'll put the 80 back up here, and we'll print off one more atmospheric. Oh dear, forgot to do that. And let me just change that. Because I got 2 or just 1? Up there. Put you up there. 1 atmospheric. Good. Okay, so we'll put this, we'll leave this end space in case we don't actually need it. It'll look a little bit tidier, but otherwise we'll put this in exactly the same place on the next block across. So everything is, oh, helps if it's the right unit. Hand drill. There we go. We want the filtration system. There we go. So identical otherwise, but then you can just end up with something quite nice as far as the power is concerned. in that you can run the connection going this way, like that, and the same thing for this one. And there'll probably be one here as well. So all we're concerned about is that this is going to go back this way. We don't need the data port just yet, but we may well want it later. And if I just grab you for a second, I should be able to make sure that this is nicely structured for a change. Okay, so junction, and then a junction here as well. And then we can just do straight pieces for the moment. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and because we don't need the data port, I don't really much care about those. However, what I do care about is over here, grabbing some more pipe and just connecting these in exactly the same way that we had before, except instead of being a T-piece now, it needs to be pretty much, no, in fact, a T-piece this way will work fine. And then we'll just do a straight piece across. And do exactly the same connection in here to get everything sorted. So let's go there. 2. And then another T-piece here. Okay. So you get the idea? Completely parallel array. And let's see if this actually will work or if I'm misremembering. It's entirely possible that that's the case. But let's just put that in my backpack. And we'll grab the rest of those in a minute. Fine. So now we can test this. So what we can do is if I just go to my backpack, grab that one piece of pipe and put it in right here, that will let in all the gas from our arc furnace, essentially. There we go. And if I just show you that is the case, it's 3.96 MPa. That's just because of the increase in volume here. With larger volume, the pressure goes down, obviously, same amount of mass. And now what I'm going to do is make sure I have at least some volume back here. So we have one there and one here. And if I quickly turn this on and off, is that enough? No, not quite. There we go. So we get pure filtered CO2 out of this side. This side still has pretty much everything else in it. Similarly, if we want, what's the other major constituent of that pipe? That'll be the next one we choose. X, pollutant, basically. The pollutant we can get a filter for just as well. Normally I'd think about moving this to the end, you know. Yeah, let's actually just move that to the end because I don't want this to be... No, yeah, it's fine. We'll do it now. Filter, and we want pollutant. Okay, there is also heavy filters. I'd recommend you go for these at the point at which you have enough resources to feel comfortable for them. So if you just look at the CO2 one, carbon dioxide, that's a medium filter. Whoops, I want the heavy filter. So carbon dioxide heavy filter, you'll see that takes steel and electrum to make. So it's more expensive by far. So you can get away to start off with just regular filters. How much are the medium filters? Medium filter, and we want carbon dioxide. That's silver and Constantan. Now I don't think we've made Constantan yet, but we've certainly got silver. So yeah, easiest is just go for regular filters, even though you will be changing them. And we'll show you how to save a little bit on that in a little while. But for now, let's go for pollutant, as I was making before. That only takes 5 iron. Really simple to actually make, and I've got some more iron there, so I can just put that back in. There we go. And there's our pollutant filter. Same approach over here. And we are going to just dump that in here. And turn this on. And back off again. And now we get pure pollutant. Great. And it's 8 MPa already in that one little piece of pipe, which means we need to extend this a little bit further. So we now want to get to our tanks, or wherever we want to position our tanks. To do that, I'm going to probably want some frames. And we have some steel I think we can build with somewhere hanging around. And I just want a few frames just to position the tanks more than anything else. Do we have any steel in anywhere? Gold and copper. Steel, yes, it's in there. In fact, some iron would do, but that's fine. Let's just grab this. So steel, just because this is cheaper overall. We want some frames. I'm probably going to only really need, let's say 4 frames, okay? And that should do everything we need. While I'm doing that, let's just replace the battery in this light. Okay, just so I don't lose that. And is there anything? Charge is still high on the one in my backpack, so I'm going to be fine with that. How many are in here? Let's have a display for how many are in this. 3. That'll do. Don't know why that is still a little odd. That can sometimes just start sliding all by itself. Not sure what's causing that. But yeah, a little bit janky in places. Anyway, we're going to use these frames just to position the tanks. And I think I want the tanks to be broadly over the... Well, we can either go over the top or we can place them in the wall. But I kind of want them to be over the top, like this. Okay, and then we can put them in place. They'll sit over the top, maybe offset a little bit backwards, but let's see what they actually look like. So let's get one of our small tanks, and we should be able to put it up there. Now let's just look at the outputs here. You'll see there's a couple. One is for data, and the other one is for the tank connection. So we want to rotate this so the tank connection is at the back, which means the data connection is to the right, which is perfectly fine because that's exactly where our power connection is for everything else. So let's just try and get this somewhere situated. Let's just try it there. How does that look? Is that over the top? It's set a little bit forwards. I prefer that to be one for the back, to be honest. That, of course, will be the one position it's probably hardest to actually get to. But hey, that's just how it happens sometimes. And it's really hard to get to in some places. Is that still right for the connection? It is, yep. So one for the back, then that. Let's just go jetpack, easiest. Is that one for the back? That is one for the back. I quite like that, yeah. So we want to do the same thing for this one, and then what we're going to do is route the power, well, it's not really power, it's data port. We're going to route that back into the wall, or where the wall will be. I'm going to route this pipe down here. One thing of note aside from this is you're also going to want another output for this. It's going to go out the back of the building, but so don't make it completely inaccessible whenever you build this, because you're going to want an overpressure relief valve. So if it ever goes too high, it will just outgas into the atmosphere until it drops back to whatever pressure you set. The other thing you're going to want, which is another output from this line, is going to be a refill station. So for that, you're going to want to grab canister storage, just what we've used before around this side. Over here, you're going to want one of these, and you're going to want to be able to print off some other stuff as well. So I'm going to just take this one because it's actually useful. This has mostly breathable atmosphere, but we can improve on that, I think. So can we actually just grab you? Wrench. Yeah, arbitrary tools. I'd prefer sci-fi, just single tool that did them all, but hey, that's just me, because there's just no use for all these. There just really isn't. It's like, it's just a guessing game. There's no complexity involved. If I needed multiple tiers of them, maybe, but not so much. So yes, we do want some kind of gas tank storage like this, and it will have the connection on the front. Now, wherever we put this is going to be a little bit... remember, we're going to be moving these blocks. So let me just get rid of these blocks to start off with. And hopefully that's not going to fall down. In fact, let's just test that. Is this one of those things that will fall down, or is it not? So place your bets now. Once I found the right thing. Will you fall? You will fall. Okay, I'll place that back anyway. So what we need to do before we do that is connect up the pipework to it. That will hold it in place and stop it from falling. Anyway, I will do that off camera, put everything back, and then I'll show you where I'm going to put this, and you get the idea from there. Okay, and now it's all constructed. I've moved the blocks back one, and we have a wall, where a wall will be. Of course, it'll have coverings and everything else, but we have a data port if we ever need that in future. We can leave the wiring backwards if we want it. Don't need it just yet. However, we also have a tank fill station. Now, no, I'm not going to connect this directly to this. If we do, we won't have space for other stuff which I'm about to show you. So what we need is a little bit of space to work with. So I'm going to lead everything back into the wall over here. And then instead, what I'm going to need to do is just connect some more power. So I'm going to need a little bit of room to do that. And that should be enough if I, well, maybe I need one more. So I'll do that. You'll see why in a second. So we should be able to use a pressure regulator. That's going to make sure that everything going this way into the bottom of this tank refill only goes to a certain pressure, and then it doesn't go any further. And we can actually just get away with less than that. So let's just put that in my backpack. And yes, I can get away with that. One more. So let's deconstruct you, and you, and then we just go back on ourselves. And same thing again. And then we can merge this in. So this pipe is potentially high pressure, although we'll have a relief valve eventually at the top or at the back here, and that will vent out, and we'll do that with a back pressure regulator. And in fact, I probably will be able to construct that fairly soon. In fact, should we do it now? No. You get the idea. We already know how to do that. So we're going to set this to a certain amount. We're going to set this to whatever you want for your output. In this case, I'm going to, whoops, that's not the right item. I want the relabeler. And I'm going to just change the set for this to be 9,000. Is that KPA? I hope it's KPA. Yep, 9,000 KPA. So that when this is turned on, we'll make sure that this entire pipe, the pipe as well as the tank, is actually at 9,000 KPA of whatever gas. So in our case, if we just go and print off a canister, and we'll be able to see this working, we should be able to then have a pure refill station. And if I just grab a canister, new one, it's only 5 iron, very, very cheap. Okay, let's just grab that now. Okay, and if I just dump this into this gas refill, then we just need to power this thing. So this is the one reason why I wanted to have a little bit more space back in here, because we need space to go through a straight pipe like that, and then we're going to junction this into everything else. Now, we need to be a bit careful with this in that I may have to run a cable right here to connect between things. No, it's okay. It's okay. We can just go through this way and just connect to one like this. Is that going to work for the corners? Because if the one's there, it's going to connect to... that's a point. Yeah, because this refill station is going to need to be right here if it's matched to this one. So I can't necessarily go that way. Okay. What I think I may end up with is like a bus along the back, and then we'll just lead it wherever we need to. So it's fine here. And then what we'll do is just bring the cable out to the back, or we can send it up, but I kind of prefer to have some kind of space available for this. We could also send it just between. We could probably fit it right there, maybe? Yeah. So if I just run it this way, and do I want to actually run? I'm just going to run it straight. Okay. So we have a bus that runs all the way to the back. And then we just turn a corner. One, two, and I'm going to be one short. I'm going to be one short. That's annoying. That always happens. We're just going to rob it. I'm going to take this, and that's going to be a corner. Yeah, I get an extra one piece. That's fine. Cool. I like when that happens. Okay, and that turns on. So that will already be pressurizing this output. So if we grab that and look at our computer now, and look at this canister, you should see it is building pressure. It's not terribly fast. A pressure regulator is automatic, but it is not fast. If you want fast, change this to a pump, but then you'll need control by electronics. This is automatic, so it just works, and that's easy enough to get started with. and you'll see this is now a refill station for CO2. We can get it in handy portable format. We can get it in a tank that we can inspect and see just how much CO2 we've got. And you could eventually feed anything into this system. Not sure what we need to do with high temperature. I need to do a bit of research unless anyone wants to know, anyone knows that. What we can then do, and we're not going to do this episode because I'm just running out of time, is extend this system. How we're going to extend it is we're going to have either electronic control or computer control and basically sense what's in this pipe. We can put a sensor on this quite easily and say, hey, if this pipe is, I don't know, maybe higher than 1 MPa, something like that, turn these things on. And what they're going to do is turn on, and then they're going to basically carry on turning on until that drops below a certain amount, or until it drops below to zero. Once it drops to zero, we can turn them off again, at which point the whole system resets. It waits until it builds up to a certain amount, and then it starts again. What that will do for us, it will then make sure that these things do not get used up too much, even when you use these cheap ones like this, because they're not on all the time. If you left these on all the time, it would actually take quite a while to deal with. So, not quite a while, it would actually use them up really fast is what I actually want to say. I'm not sure why I said quite a while. Anyway, but that's going to be this pretty much. So that's our start of our atmospheric system. And unfortunately, we're out of time today, so I'm going to be doing more building construction sort of between the episodes or at the start of each episode, so we don't do too much on camera, but we'll be probably doing this and adding to this as I actually go. Next station in after these two is going to be H2, because I need it to be able to breathe, and that's kind of useful. Also, maybe some other things as well. For example, on this wall, I'm probably going to have an input system, so we're going to be able to just basically dump in my waste tank like this one, and be able to just filter it straight into the system as well. Basically, everything can go into this input, and it will work fine. Once you have the rest of the tank set up, of course. But I'll see you next episode for that. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and hopefully you've gained a little bit of inspiration into building your own atmospheric system. And of course, you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. So give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next episode for some more Stationeers. As always, thanks for watching.